Welcome to The Explainer. We're about to tackle a massive question. What is the secret to making love last? And I'm not talking about cliches or what you see in the movies. We are going to dive into 50 years of actual scientific research to find out what separates the couples who make it from the ones who don't. Ready? Let's go.
Okay, let's just start with a number that might kind of blow your mind. 69%. According to 50 years of research by relationship experts Drs. John and Julie Gottman, 69% of a couple's problems are, well, they're perpetual. They are fundamentally part of your relationship, and they are never, ever going away.
So wait a minute. That leads to a pretty huge question, right? If the happiest, most successful couples out there aren't actually solving most of their problems, then what on earth are they doing? What is their secret?
To get that answer, we need to step inside the legendary Love Lab. Yeah, you heard that right. For decades, scientists built what was basically an apartment, and they just watched real couples interact to figure out, once and for all, what makes a relationship tick. And the brilliant minds behind all of this were the Gottmans. I mean, we're talking about more than 50 years of work, studying thousands of couples. They hooked them up to sensors to track their heart rates, they analyzed their facial expressions, they looked at everything to find the hidden patterns that separate a great relationship from a failed one. And what they found was that couples pretty much fall into two camps. There are the masters, the ones who build these happy, lasting relationships. And then there are the disasters, who just get trapped in this cycle of negativity and usually end up breaking up. And the key difference wasn't whether they argued, because they all did. It was how they argued, and maybe more importantly, how they connected when they weren't arguing. In fact, the Gottmans got so good at this, they could predict with terrifying accuracy which couples would get divorced. And they did it by looking for 4 really specific, really toxic behaviors. They called them the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse because, well, when they show up, it means the end is probably near. So, horseman number 1 is criticism. Now, this is a big one. This isn't just complaining about something. A complaint is, hey, the trash wasn't taken out. Criticism is, you're so lazy you never help out. See the difference? One is about a specific situation, the other is a direct attack on who your partner is as a person.
And what does criticism almost always lead to? Yep, the second horseman, defensiveness. This is that immediate reaction where you play the innocent victim and try to flip the blame right back. It's your way of saying, hey, this problem isn't me, it's you. And all that does is make the fight worse. Next up, horseman number 3, which is stonewalling. This is when one person just checks out, they withdraw, they shut down, they give you the silent treatment, and the research shows that men do this about 85% of the time. What's crazy is that on the outside, they might look totally calm, but inside, their body's in full-on fight-or-flight mode. Their heart is racing, stress hormones are pumping, they're overwhelmed. But the absolute deadliest, most poisonous horseman is the last one. Contempt. This is any time you communicate from a place of superiority. We're talking sarcasm, mockery, name-calling, eye-rolling. It's any behavior that says, I'm better than you and you disgust me. And just to be crystal clear about how bad this is, the Gottmans found that the presence of contempt is the single greatest predictor of divorce, period. It's like acid for a relationship because it just eats away at all the respect you have for each other. So what do the masters do instead of all this? They use something called a gentle startup. It's so simple, but it's a total game changer. Instead of starting a fight by attacking with you always or you never, they start with I. They talk about their own feelings in a specific situation, and then they state a positive need. It completely changes the tone of the conversation. Okay, but here's the thing. Learning how to fight better is only half the picture. The real secret weapon of the masters isn't what they do in those big, heavy arguments. It's what they do in the thousands of tiny little moments in between. And these moments are built around something the Gottmans call bids for connection. Now, these aren't grand romantic gestures. They are small, sometimes totally mundane attempts to connect. It could be as simple as looking out the window and saying, wow, check out that sunset, or sharing a random thought. It's a tiny little invitation to engage with me. And right here, this is where the research shows a jaw-dropping difference. The masters turn towards these bids, meaning they engage with them an incredible 86% of the time. The disasters, they only turn towards them 33% of the time. That is a massive gap. And think about what happens every time a bid gets ignored. It sends a really powerful message, which is, you're not important to me right now. Dr. Julie Gottman has this perfect analogy. She says it's like poking a little sea anemone and watching it close up. That's kind of what happens to our hearts every time one of those little bids for connection gets missed.
So, we know these small connections are absolutely crucial. But what about when those big, unsolvable problems do come up? How do the masters handle that conflict without letting it get toxic? Well, it turns out they have a very specific toolkit for how to fight right.
The most important tool in that kit is what they call the magic ratio. For every one negative interaction you have during a conflict, you need to have 5 positive ones to keep the relationship stable and happy. And a positive interaction can be anything, a little joke, a touch on the arm, or even just saying, "I hear you."
You know, a really great practical example of this comes from Dr. John Gottman himself. He actually carries a little notebook in his pocket, and when his wife is upset about something, he pulls it out and just starts taking notes. It's brilliant, right? It forces him to listen, and it calms him down so he doesn't get defensive.
And for those times when an argument gets so hot that you feel that fight or flight response kick in, what they call being flooded, the masters know how to hit pause. They've agreed beforehand to take a break, a real break for at least 30 minutes, where you do something totally unrelated and calming. Then you agree on a time to come back and finish the conversation when you're both sane again.
All right, I want to leave you with one last incredibly powerful proactive habit that builds up all that positivity we've been talking about. It's a daily 6-second kiss. And why 6 seconds? It's not a random number. That's the amount of time it takes for your brain to release oxytocin, which is often called the bonding hormone or the cuddle hormone. It's basically a little biological hack to create feelings of trust and connection and to reinforce your bond every single day.
So let's just pull this all together. The big secret to a lasting relationship isn't about never fighting. It's about learning how to manage your problems with kindness. It's about making sure those 4 horsemen stay far away from your relationship. It's about consciously turning towards all those little bids for connection and making sure you keep that 5-to-1 positive ratio. When you really look at it, this research is a roadmap, and it shows us that love isn't built on grand gestures. It's built in the small, consistent choices we make every single day. So the real question to leave you with is this: what's one small thing you can do today to turn towards your partner?